Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Wednesday, September 9th, 2020. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. You'll notice here we have a pullback in the ES over the last 4 to 5 sessions here, a pretty significant pullback from the high of 35.87 back to the overnight low here of 32.95 half. That's the current low. We've bounced off that low and are pushing back above both the previous session's low and also the previous week's low. We're currently holding above the previous week's low of 33.4775, which is important right now because, again, is this impulse move over, or are we about to bounce back to the midpoint if this is a strong low? So we have to judge right now if the overnight low is a strong low right now. If it is, then we could be looking at a bounce back to the midpoint of this impulse sell-off. That midpoint is that level right there. That is the forecasted midpoint for next month, and that is 34.41 quarter. So right now we're looking at a potential bounce back toward 34.41 quarter if the low at 32.95 half is a strong low. Now right now, again, we're looking at the previous week's low price. That's the 33.4775s. Can the ES stay above that zone? So bulls want to keep that area defended today for a shot at bouncing back up. First, back to the previous week's close price of 34.15, and then perhaps a continuation higher toward those 34.41s. Overall, again, a failure to hold the previous week's low price, which is that level right there, could open up a major continuation down, because right now we have a lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high with lower lows day over day. That's the previous session's midpoint. Price could get up to that point and still find selling pressure for a continuation. So right now, again, got to make sure that price can stay above the previous week's low price of 33.47s overall for the session for a bounce back toward 44.41 to take place. If not, we could be looking at a continuation toward the previous month's low price down here at the 32.50s, followed by perhaps even more weakness into 3200. Okay, let's take a look now at the NQ. The NQ is also trying to hold above the previous week's low right now. Again, the way that price fell through the tail of Friday's range here on Tuesday, yesterday, was significant. That suggests more weakness ahead, likely to this lower blue line, which is the previous month's low price. That's the 10.845 halves. What we have seen here this morning is a move off the overnight low, which was very strong, 10.935 half, very solid move off that level, and a move back toward this midpoint, which is the previous session's mid. So really, that's the major level right there that bulls really need to be able to get through today in order to really continue this move higher, because bulls can push this thing all the way back to the mid, but if bears come in to defend after the recent weakness we've seen, then this could become a lower high followed by more weakness ahead into that low. So again, we got to judge if that low that we saw overnight is a strong low. If it is, again, any pullback here today likely into 11.050 still needs to be held. And then you have the previous week's low price here, which is 11.142s. That also is the key pivot for the day. So bulls generally are going to want to keep that area bid by the end of the day. If not, if that gives out, we're opening up more downside into that 8.45 half. So this is going to be very important here heading into the rest of the session. All right, taking a look now at crude oil. Crude oil had a major sell-off in the previous session, was down nearly 9% at one point during the day. We've seen a move almost into that 35 we talked about. That 35 is a major CLVN in the composite volume profile there. We saw this major sell-off from this narrow range here. We talked about the 20 to 21 day narrow range that had formed. We're looking for a 5 to 6 point move, and we've already gotten it. It was to the downside here. A failed high and a push through that mid sealed the deal here on Friday. That led to a huge rotation down the rest of the day and into yesterday's session. Now we've reached a low of 36.13. That is just near the CLVN right here. Again, this could turn into an extreme reversal where we bounce back. Just like the ES and the NQ here, we're looking to see where that impulse low is. Do we get a strong low? Because if so, we could bounce back to the midpoint of that range, and now we have ourselves a key range. Again, the overnight low here, not as strong as what we're seeing in the ES and the NQ, but it is holding above the 36.75 zone right now, which if it can continue to hold that throughout the day, there could be a further bounce ahead, especially if prices can hold above those 37s, which were resistance throughout much of the afternoon yesterday. Okay, let's take a look now at gold futures. So for gold futures here, we're seeing a further development of the range here. We talked about this rejection here that could lead to a move down into the 1910 zone. We got as low as 1911.70, so very, very close with our target zone there. And again, I mentioned before that we're likely to stay between 1900 and 2K until further notice. That's our trading range right now, but we're building for an eventual upside break in all likelihood. Obviously, this compression can break in either direction equally, and if we do break downward, this could be a phenomenal trap. 1830 to 1850, anything below the 1870 zone for a shot at squeezing this thing higher. Ultimately, the energy being built here will likely fuel the next move of about 125 points, right? At least, if not more. And if it's to the upside, again, we have an upside target that can take us into 2200 and 2300 from the edge. That could be 200 points just there. So if we're looking at this thing as a pretty good breakout opportunity at some point, we may have some very reliable targets to work toward, but we got to be patient about allowing it to build that energy, chop and trade within this range, but eventually we'll get a breakout. For right now, it looks like we're starting to see the move back to the opposite side of the range, so we could be looking at a move as high as 2K, but maybe into 1990. Right now we're trading 1943s, holding off the lower edge of the zone here. So again, if price can continue to hold, say 1930, 1925, we have a shot to rotate higher toward 2000 in the near term, but further range bound action likely to be seen until that expansion occurs. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this develops heading into the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.